thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but still will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and o'er-darkened ways made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits, such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep. And such are daffodils, with the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season. The mid-forest brake, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk-rose blooms. And such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead. All lovely tales that we have heard or read, and endless fountain of immortal drink, pouring unto us from heaven's brink. Nor do we merely feel these essences for one short hour. No, even as the trees that whisper round a temple become soon dear as the temple's self, so does the moon, the passion poesy, glories infinite, haunt us till they become a cheering light unto our souls, and bound to us so fast that, whether there be shine or gloom o'ercast, they always must be with us, or we die. Therefore 'tis with full happiness that I will trace the story of Endymion. The very music of the name has gone into my being, and each pleasant scene is growing fresh before me as the green of our own valleys. So I will begin, now, while I cannot hear the city's din, now, while the early budders are just new, and run in mazes of the youngest hue about old forests, while the willow trails its delicate amber, and the dairy pails bring home increase of milk. And as the year grows lush in juicy stalks, I'll smoothly steer my little boat for many quiet hours, with streams that deepen freshly into bowers. Many and many a verse I hope to write, before the daisies, vermeil rimmed and white, hide in deep herbage, and ere yet the bees hum about globes of clover and sweet peas, I must be near the middle of my story. Oh, may no wintry season, bare and hoary, see it half finished, but let autumn, bold with universal tinge of sober gold, be all about me while I make an end. And now, at once, adventuresome, I send my herald thought into a wilderness. There let its trumpet blow, and quickly dress my uncertain path with green, that I may speed easily onward through flowers and weed. Upon the sides of Latmos was o'erspread a mighty forest, for the moist earth fed so plenteously all weed-hidden roots into o'erhanging boughs and precious fruits. And it had gloomy shades, sequestered deep, where no man went, and if from shepherds' keep a lamb strayed far adown those inmost glens, Never again saw he the happy pens, whither his brethren, bleeding with content, over the hills at every nightfall went. Among the shepherds 'twas believed ever that not one fleecy lamb which thus did sever from the white flock but passed unworried by angry wolf, or parred with prying head, until it came to some unfooted plains where fed the herds of Pan. Ay, great his gains who thus one lamb did lose. Paths there were many, winding through palmy fern and rushes, fenny and ivy banks, all leading pleasantly to a wide lawn, whence one could only see stems thronging all around between the swell of turf and slanting branches. Who could tell the freshness of the space of heaven above, edged round with dark tree tops, through which a dove would often beat his wings, and often, too, a little cloud would move across the blue. Full in the middle of this pleasantness there stood a marble altar, with a tress of flowers budded newly, and the dew had taken fairy fantasies to strew daisies upon the sacred sward last eve, and so the dawned light in pomp receive. For 'twas the morn. Apollo's upward fire made every eastern cloud a silvery pyre of brightness so unsullied, that therein a melancholy spirit well might win oblivion, and melt out his essence fine into the winds. Rain-scented eglantine gave temperate sweets to that well-wooing sun. The lark was lost in him. Cold springs had run to warm their chilliest bubbles in the grass. Man's voice was on the mountains, and the mass of nature's lives and wonders pulsed tenfold, to feel this sunrise and its glories old. Now, while the silent workings of the dawn were busiest, into that self-same lawn, all suddenly, with joyful cries, there sped a troop of little children garlanded, who, gathering round the altar, seemed to pry earnestly round, as wishing to espy some folk of holiday. Nor had they waited for many moments ere their ears were sated with a faint breath of music, which even then filled out its voice and died away again. Within a little space again it gave its airy swellings with a gentle wave to light-hung leaves, and smoothest echoes breaking through the copse-clad valleys, ere their death o'ertaking the surgy murmurs of the lonely sea. And now, as deep into the woods as we might mark a lynx's eye, there glimmered light fair faces, and a rush of garments white, plainer and plainer showing, till at last into the widest alley they all passed, making directly for the woodland altar. O kindly Muse, let not my weak tongue falter in telling of this goodly company, of their old piety, and of their glee, but let a portion of ethereal dew fall on my head, and presently unmew my soul, that I may dare, in wayfaring, to stammer where old Chaucer used to sing. Leading the way, young damsels danced along, bearing the burden of a shepherd's song, each having a white wicker overbrimmed with April's tender younglings. Next, well trimmed, a crowd of shepherds, with as sunburnt looks as may be read of in Arcadian books, such as sat listening round Apollo's pipe when the great deity, for earth too ripe, let his divinity overflowing die in music through the vales of Thessaly. Some idly trailed their sheep-hooks on the ground, and some kept up a shrilly mellow sound with ebon-tipped flutes. Close after these, now coming from beneath the forest trees, a venerable priest, full soberly, begirt with ministering looks. Alway his eye steadfast upon the matted turf he kept, and after him his sacred vestments swept. From his right hand there swung a vase, milk white, of mingled wine, out sparkling generous light, and in his left he held a basket full of all sweet herbs that searching eye could cull, wild thyme, and valley lilies whiter still than Leda's dove, and cresses from the rill. His aged head, crowned with beechen wreath, seemed like a pole of ivy in the teeth of winter hoar. Then came another crowd of shepherds, lifting in due time aloud their share of the ditty. After them appeared, up followed by a multitude that reared their voices to the clouds, a fair wrought car, easily rolling so as scarce to mar the freedom of 3 steeds of dapple brown, who stood therein did seem of great renown among the throng. His youth was fully blown, showing like Ganymede to manhood grown, and for those simple times his garments were a chieftain's king's. Beneath his breast, half bare, was hung a silver bugle, and between his nervy knees there lay a boar spear keen. A smile was on his countenance. He seemed to common lookers on like one who dreamed of idleness in groves Elysian. But there were some who feelingly could scan a lurking trouble in his nether lip, and see that oftentimes the reins would slip through his forgotten hands. Then would they sigh and think of yellow leaves, of owlet's cry, of logs piled solemnly. Ah, well a day! Why should our young Endymion pine away? Soon their assembly, in a circle ranged, stood silent round the shrine. Each look was changed to sudden veneration. Women meek beckoned their sons to silence, while each cheek of virgin bloom paled gently for slight fear. Endymion, too, without a forest peer, stood, wan and pale, and with an awed face, among his brothers of the mountain chase. In midst of all, the venerable priest eyed them with joy from greatest to the least, and, after lifting up his aged hands, thus spake he: Men of Latmos, shepherd bands, whose care is it to guard 1,000 flocks, whether descended from beneath the rocks that overtop your mountains, whether come from valleys where the pipe is never dumb, or from your swelling downs, where sweet air stirs blue harebells lightly, and where prickly furze buds lavish gold, or ye, whose precious charge nibble their fill at ocean's very marge, whose mellow reeds are touched with sounds forlorn by the dim echoes of old Triton's horn, mothers and wives, who day by day prepare the scrip with needlemans for the mountain air, and all ye gentle girls who foster up udderless lambs, and in a little cup will put choice honey for a favored youth. Yea, every one attend. For in good truth our vows are wanting to our great god Pan. Are not our lowing heifers sleeker than night-swollen mushrooms? Are not our wide plains speckled with countless fleeces? Have not rains greened over April's lap? No howling sad sickens our fearful ewes, and we have had great bounty from Endymion our lord. The earth is glad, The merry lark has poured his early song against yon breezy sky that spreads so clear o'er our solemnity. Thus ending, on the shrine he heaped a spire of teeming sweets, enkindling sacred fire. Anon he stained the thick and spongy sod with wine in honor of the shepherd god. Now, while the earth was drinking it, and while bay leaves were crackling in the fragrant pile, and gummy frankincense was sparkling bright 'neath smothering parsley, and a hazy light spread grayly eastward, thus a chorus sang: O thou, whose mighty palace roof doth hang from jagged trunks, and overshadoweth eternal whispers, glooms, the birth, life, death of unseen flowers in heavy peacefulness, who loves to see the hamadryads dress their ruffled locks where meeting hazels darken, and through the whole solemn hours dost sit and hearken the dreary melody of bedded reeds in desolate places, where dank moisture breeds the pipy hemlock to strange overgrowth, bethinking thee how melancholy loth thou wast to lose fair Syrinx, do thou now, by thy love's milky brow, by all the trembling mazes that she ran, hear us, great Pan. O thou, for whose soul-soothing quiet turtles passion their voices cooingly 'mong myrtles, what time thou wanderest at eventide through sunny meadows that outskirt the side of thine enmossed realms, O thou, to whom broad-leaved fig trees even now foredoom their ripened fruitage, yellow-girded bees their golden honeycombs, our village leaves their fairest blossomed beans and poppied corn, the chuckling linnet its 5 young unborn to sing for thee, low-creeping strawberries their summer coolness, pent-up butterflies their freckled wings, yea, the fresh budding year, all its completions, be quickly near, by every wind that nods the mountain pine, O forester divine! Thou, to whom every fawn and satyr flies for willing service, whether to surprise the squatted hare while in half-sleeping fit, or upward ragged precipices flit to save poor lambskins from the eagle's maw, or by mysterious enticement draw bewildered shepherds to their path again, or to tread breathless round the frothy main, and gather up all fancifullest shells for thee to tumble into naiad cells, and, being hidden, laugh at their outpeeping, or to delight thee with fantastic leaping, the while they pelt each other on the crown with silvery oak apples and fir cones brown, by all the echoes that about thee ring, hear us, O satyr king! O hearkener to the loud clapping shears, while ever and anon to his shorn peers a ram goes bleating, winder of the horn when snouted wild boars routing tender corn anger our huntsmen, breather round our farms to keep off mildews and all weather harms, strange ministrant of undescribed sounds that came a-swooning over hollow grounds, and withered drearily on barren moors, dread opener of the mysterious doors leading to universal knowledge, see, great son of Dryope, the many that are come to pay their vows with leaves about their brows. Be still the unimaginable lodge for solitary thinkings, such as dodge conception to the very bourne of heaven. Then leave the naked brain. Be still the leaven that spreading in this dull and clotted earth gives it a touch ethereal, a new birth. Be still a symbol of immensity, a firmament reflected in a sea, an element filling the space between an unknown, but no more. We humbly screen with uplift hands our foreheads, lowly bending, and giving out a shout most heaven-rending, conjure thee to receive our humble paean upon thy mount Lycian. Even while they brought the burden to a close, a shout from the whole multitude arose that lingered in the air like dying rolls of abrupt thunder, when Ionian shoals of dolphins bobbed their noses through the brine. Meantime, on shady levels, mossy fine, young companies nimbly began dancing to the swift treble pipe and humming string. Ay, those fair living forms swam heavenly to tunes forgotten, out of memory, fair creatures, whose young children's children bred Thermopylae its heroes, and yet dread, but in old marbles ever beautiful.